Whoa. This is the first Minecraft corruption I did, and I decided to mess around with the math functions. And this is what I got from doing this. As you can see, there are floating pieces of terrain in the sky, which could be part of a chunk that got copied and pasted in the air, or part of a mountain that got broken up into pieces and was just floating in the air somehow. I like to call these things floating oddities because they appear to be floating islands, but when you take a closer look at them, they appear to be deformed and odd looking, as though they were fragments of whatever was floating around there. Many of them appear to be floating on top of mountains, which creates an almost astonishing view, like entities floating over a sacred object on top of the mountain that they surround. Yo, what in the world? So as I continued to explore, I came across this mushroom biome, and I realized it seemed to be more massive than the typical mushroom biome in a normal Minecraft world. I am not certain about the normal scale of mushroom biomes in recent versions of Minecraft, but this seemed to be very strange to me. I've only seen mushroom biomes as a small island in the middle of an ocean far away from spawn, but the scale of this mushroom biome seems almost unnatural. The caves are massive in this corruption, hence the name Veilbreak. Sometimes you can spot Skulk just out in the open, along with lush biomes, which just makes Veilbreak bizarre in its own way, and is why it made it on my list. So this corruption starts out as a super flat world, but made out of stone. And as you can see, there are different lava pools on the ground, as well as you can see iron veins and coal veins. But beneath the surface, there actually is several layers to it, and the more you dig down, the more crazier it gets. So underneath the first layer is this gigantic mass of stone, and it leaves me to wonder what it could have actually been. Maybe it was a mountain, or maybe a cave tried to generate here. But whatever it was pretty interesting to see this, and you can still see these when you dig deeper. So I decided to dig down another layer, and that's when I discovered that there was something off in the distance that was not like what I've seen before, and it ended up being a mineshaft. It wasn't until I dig down a couple layers that I discovered something absolutely surreal. As you can see, the ceiling is plotted with glow lichen. I happened to come across another mineshaft, but this one is suspended in the air by chains. Towards the end, I reached sea level, and through a hole in the ground I was able to get to the very bottom. It is quite different from all the other layers. This has to be one of the most intriguing corruptions I ever made. What's your opinion on this? Let me know. Fragmentum has to be one of the most outlandish terrain generations I have ever seen by far, and no camera glitches really makes it interesting to explore. And as you can see, some of the blocks are actually connected, and the further you go down, the more separated and the more scattered the blocks are, almost like TV static. The uppermost block seems to take the shape of a square, and right below them are blocks that seem to form this web which twist with each other with other squares around them. I came across this massive shadow on the ground, and I was very curious to know where it came from. When I went back up to see what was casting the shadow, I saw a certain terrain generation that I haven't seen on this world, and it happened to have a villager house seated on top of it. These villagers happen to find themselves in an unfortunate situation, as they cannot travel to their other fellow villagers' houses, or have any access to food from farms. Well, that's the end of this corruption. Let me know what you think of this one. This corruption is very different from the others, as the textures are mixed up with each other instead of the unusual terrain generation. As you can see, the brightness seems to dip after a few seconds, which is likely to be the moment when a warden is hunting you down. One thing that I noticed about how the textures are mixed up is that even though they have completely different textures, they do look similar to vanilla textures. If you look at it from a distance, you can make out the green grass and brown dirt, as well as the leaves from trees. However, when you take a closer look at them, they appear to be completely out of the ordinary. Grass textures seem to have a top view of a log with whatever this is, and for the sides, a green shulker box, ? It even has something brown for the dirt. This is very similar to a dream where your brain is able to recall some of the biggest details, but it can't remember the smaller details. And it looks like a low-res texture pack from a distance, but it's still quite complex. As you can see, the water is still blue, but I can't quite figure out where I got this texture from. That's going to be it for this corruption. On to the last one. Upon loading up this world, I originally thought that this was just going to be another boring super flat world. However, I had no idea what I was about to witness. As I began to explore to see if there was anything interesting to look at, I came across a ditch in the ground, signaling that there's something deeper going on here. Haha! Get it? Anyway, I continued to explore, finding strange patterns on the ground, until I found something much larger. I began to explore it and saw a floating island, but it's very unusual in shape. So I kept going and there were more. I increased the render distance to see more in front of me, and I immediately became fascinated. As you can see, beneath the surface there seems to be a massive cave with floating masses of stone everywhere, which looks like the stuff you would see in a lava lamp. This corruption has to be the best looking one I have seen by far, and probably the best one that I ever made. It is very interesting to me that every corruption is uniquely different, and it continues to intrigue me today. That's the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed and sparked some curiosity in you. Peace.